Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another little weekly check-in video. Sorry if you see smoke, I have my incense going. So let's see what this week will bring us. This will be the week of September, I think today's the 15th, through I'm trying to think, through Saturday the 21st. Let's see. Just the changing of the season. So that one wanted to come out. So we're just going to put it off to the side. All right. So what do we need to know? The Empress. What do we need to do? The Hermit. What do we need to release? The Eight of Cups. And then what do we need to contemplate? The Ten of Pentacles. Okay. All right. So we have our cards. I'm like hoping the smoke doesn't really intrude too much with what I have going on here. So let's try to move it actually. I think I'll just put it over here. Just so we have the nice smell of it. Okay. So the very first card we have is the Empress. Now this is what we need to know. Now, as far as what this week will bring us, just trying to make sure my microphone is on. It seems like what we need to know is essentially how to reconnect to ourselves, whether it's like the divine feminine aspects, whether it's the nurturing, the taking care of, that sense of fertility, that sense of creativity, of coming together to really communicate, connect, to celebrate, to really be in ourselves in the sense of what it is that maybe we've been needing, what we've been lacking. Maybe it's a time to kind of contemplate what our spaces look like, whether that's energetically, whether that is like, physically, or even just like how are we holding space for ourselves in the things that maybe we need, the things that we've been lacking, the things that we haven't really focused on too much. Now, when I think of the Empress, I think it's very much this energy of fertility, but then also creativity. So I think that maybe right now what we need to know is like what's kind of calling us, what's kind of requiring some sort of energy from us in order for us to be able to show up at this time. What is it that maybe we haven't really prioritized recently that is requiring a little bit of our energy, that's requiring a little bit of our own essence, so to speak, so that we can really focus on what we need, what we want, what we've been looking for, and what it is that we really desire in our lives. So just want to make sure we're in frame. Okay. And so I think the other thing with the Empress is that it's as much about connection as it is about like community. And so I think it's very much about like our feminine leaning relationships, whether it's what sort of people are we surrounding ourselves with? How are we nurturing our relationships? What are we creating so that we can kind of build upon the next thing? And I think with what we need to do, we have the Hermit, which I think is apt. I think it's very much this kind of energy of maybe pulling back a little bit, reconnecting with ourselves, kind of listening and seeking out our own sense of who we are, what we want, what we need. And I think with the Hermit, because it is the energy of Virgo, which Virgo season is about to end. So here it's almost saying like, okay, this is like the last week of Virgo season. What have we learned? What have we been doing? What have we been focusing on? And so with this being what we need to do, it's maybe asking us to say, are you seeking yourself out? Are you looking at your own energy? Are you taking a step back to kind of find what illuminates you at this time and kind of taking some of that, of the opportunity, I guess we'll say, to seek out your own wisdom, to seek out your own intuition, to kind of draw from yourself versus being too caught up in what everybody else requires or what everybody else needs. Now, this being, again, the last week of Virgo season, maybe we haven't really been listening to ourselves. Maybe we haven't really been taking some time out to kind of reconnect with who we are and what we want. And I almost look at this week as like the final week or so before the holiday season really ramps up. It's going to feel like we're going to be very busy. We're being kind of pulled in different directions. We're being asked, to show up in so many different ways, which can be a little bit challenging, especially if we haven't really taken some time out to connect with ourselves. And I think the Hermit is here to kind of let us know, like, hey, this is what we need to be doing. We need to connect with ourselves. We need to prioritize ourselves. And we need to kind of look at, how have we been creatively pushing what we need by checking in with ourselves and seeing what's driving us moving forward, especially with this is what we need to know, this is what we need to do, which is in order for us to really recognize and see what within ourselves needs to kind of be expressed, or what we need to kind of give new life to, we need to reconnect with ourselves. We need to take some time out to kind of contemplate, what is it that I want the last few months of this year to look like for me? What does it mean for me? How am I showing up for myself in this energy? So I think these both being major cards is that maybe right now we may feel a lot of this kind of transitional sort of energy that is trying to pulse through various aspects of our lives. Maybe there's even a push to take some time out to kind of reconnect with ourselves a little bit more so that we can feel a little bit better nurtured, so that we can feel a little bit more connected and supported, I guess, in the next thing. Now, moving on to what we need to release, we have the Eight of Cups. So to me, this is definitely a card that's kind of saying there is an emotional withdrawal. There's something that needs to be, maybe there's an emotional loss that we haven't really processed completely. And so it makes it challenging for us to move forward, or it makes it challenging for us to prioritize that need. And I think with the Hermit kind of saying this is what we need to do, it's almost saying, like, have you sought yourself out first so that it makes it easier for you to release what maybe emotionally you've been hanging on to. It feels like this last week has been pretty emotionally heavy and kind of draining in some ways for a lot of us. And so there's a lot of things that have maybe come up, a lot of realizations, a lot of this kind of sense of over emotionality, if that makes sense, but not like in a negative way. I think some people think of emotions as like a negative thing, and it's not that. It's more of maybe we're having a sudden awareness of how much we really truly feel about certain things. And I think with the Eight of Cups, it's kind of giving us this opportunity to understand that emotionality. Where is it coming from? What does it look like? And I think the Eight of Cups is as much about moving on emotionally as it is about emotional withdrawal. It's very much about saying, you know what, emotionally, I'm just no longer feeling that foundation here. I need to kind of move away from this sort of energy because it's not really turning out the way that I had anticipated. So with this being the release card, is maybe saying that it's okay to walk away from things that no longer resonate with who you are, what you're trying to do, what you're requiring, or what feels, connected to you in some way. And I think with this energy as well is that maybe there is this sense of defeat, I feel like, when it comes to the Eight of Cups, because as much as it is a card about like intuition and creativity in the sense of the emotional aspects and the feelings that we have, as well as relationships, I think that 8 is very much a number of like being a little bit at a crossroads. It's saying like, I have figured out my foundation here. I have established that. Now I really know what it is that I need for me to really truly move forward. And I think with the Eight of Cups is that maybe there is this sense of maybe giving yourself the opportunity to truly say, wow, I really needed to let that go, because when I wasn't letting it go, I was remaining stuck in old patterns, or I was not seeing some progress. I was not seeing some progression into the areas of what I really would like to bring into my life moving forward. So I think the Eight of Cups being the release card is that maybe we need to stop holding back in order to make other people comfortable, that maybe it's a time to say, it's okay if I don't really have a lot of emotions about what's been going on, especially if we are doing what we need to do, which is to kind of seek out our own light, seek out our own wisdom, so that we can really fertilize what it is that is trying to kind of grow for us at this time. So there may be some shifts, some changes that you've been avoiding Maybe it's been challenging for you to actively choose yourself. And I think with the Hermit card, it's almost saying, like, can we start choosing ourselves first so that we can really move on from things that maybe aren't really for us? So if you're at a little bit of a crossroads right now, maybe this is an opportunity for you to kind of contemplate what you've been emotionally tying yourself to that maybe no longer makes sense for what you're trying to do for yourself long term, and where your creativity is or where you feel the most nurtured. So, moving on finally to what we need to contemplate, we have the 10 of Pentacles. Now, I think of the 10 as this beautiful energy of everything coming together, all of your hard work, your dedication, seeing the rewards and the fruits of your labor, especially if you have been really focusing on the physical and trying to bring everything together in a way that makes you feel more balanced, more happy, more connected to your physical life. Pentacles are money, career, finances, our physical existence, our physical bodies. And so I think with this being what we need to contemplate is that maybe we need to check in these areas. Maybe we haven't really been as mindful, not to be like, being very mindful, very demure, but maybe we haven't really been mindful of what that means for us, like what stability for the long term looks like for us. Now, when I think of this energy as well, I feel like this is very much this like long-standing energy. So maybe we're looking back at the last 10 years of our lives. What have we been learning? What have we been doing? What does it look like for us? Maybe we're even thinking into the long term, like what is going to happen in 10 years? What is my life going to look like in 10 years? What am I working towards? And I feel like with the 10 of Pentacles, it's very much this energy of like that future planning, that future kind of sense of I'm happy where I'm at. I'm glad I've accomplished everything that I have where I am currently. But what does this mean for me in the future? What does this mean for me moving forward? Now, the other thing with this being what we need to contemplate is that maybe we need to be more aware of what is stabilizing for us. What is our foundation looking like? What is it that we have been putting a lot of our energy and our physicality into at this current moment? And is that really something that feels like it is supportive for us long term? Is it something that maybe we feel like we're having to constantly choose to emotionally pull back in some ways in order for us to have that stability, to have that kind of sense of at least I have these other things, even if I'm not always emotionally connected to what I want, even if it's not the most creative thing, even if I don't always feel like I can kind of seek myself out. So I think with the 10 of Pentacles being the last card here is that we're giving a lot of this kind of energy right now because it's asking us to think about it. It's asking us to check back in with ourselves and see, where is all of our hard work really leading us? Where is our dedication taking us right now? So there may be a lot of this kind of existential crisis kind of energy, I feel like, because a lot of us are just maybe even kind of going through the motions in so many different ways because that's just what is normal to us. And I think with the 10 of Pentacles being what we need to contemplate is, are you happy with the life that you've been building? And does it make sense for you long term and what it is that you really need and desire for yourself? So since this one kind of flew out, I think that maybe this is an extra thing that we need to keep in mind, is that we need to find a better balance between giving and receiving. Now, the 6 of Pentacles is very much this kind of energy of, and we have the scales, we're about to move into Libra season. So I think it's very much like, we're changing the seasons, we're changing, not just the end of summer, because we are going to have the autumnal equinox. It is very much, at least on the northern hemisphere, sorry if you're on the southern hemisphere, but on the northern hemisphere where I currently exist, this is almost saying like we're switching into Libra season. We're switching into understanding that divine balance. And I think with this is that maybe we've been giving too much of ourselves into certain areas of our lives. And so it's kind of saying that we need to kind of bring back that balance. And I think having the Empress and the Hermit, it's almost saying like you need to capitalize on these energies within yourself so that it is much easier for you to choose yourself, to not feel like you are someone that has to constantly give, or that it's challenging for you to find a balance with what it is that you have in your life and what's been going on. So I think with the, Six of Pentacles here, it's maybe saying that this week is really about bringing back some balance overall in so many different ways, so that emotionally we're not feeling so drained, so that we're not feeling disconnected, so that we're not feeling not supported by what is going on and what we need. The other thing with this is I feel, since there's these two cards with the pentacles, is that maybe we need to pay attention to our health. We need to pay attention to our bodies. What do our bodies need? Are we resting enough? Are we taking care of ourselves enough? Are we giving ourselves what we have been needing in different ways? And if we haven't, why not? Why are we not prioritizing that? Why are we not taking care of the physicality of ourselves, especially recognizing and realizing that emotional distress can be so physically draining. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're not taking a step back to kind of seek ourselves out and kind of replenish ourselves, it's going to feel very draining whenever we're trying to think of the creative elements and things that we may want and need. So this week may be filled with opportunities to choose yourself, opportunities to take some rest, and an opportunity to kind of bring things back into balance in some way, shape, or form, especially if you've been feeling a little bit disrupted or disturbed with what's going on. So sorry for hitting the microphone. All right. So very hermit kind of energy, just a little like affirmation. So we need to reevaluate our beliefs as something is holding us back. And I think this is very much the energy of both of these cards, is that maybe we need to kind of look at who we are, what we want, what we need, because it's making us not really find the direction of what we want to come quite as easily as we've been wanting it to. So I think that this card is kind of saying, hey, this is an opportunity for us to look at what we believe about ourselves and who we are and how we're showing up. And maybe we need to kind of step away and move away from things that maybe have been holding us back, that maybe don't make sense for who we are now. So something is kind of keeping us from seeing that progress, whether it's, looking at some of your dreams and understanding that we can't always be successful on our own. We may need a little bit of help. So maybe this is an opportunity for you to say, I need a little bit of help. I need some assistance. I need someone to kind of show up and help me while I'm chasing my dream. Same thing with the Ten of Pentacles. It's very much this energy of we need to establish that community, the people around us, our foundation, so that we feel stable enough for us to co-create what it is that we want in the next phase. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for joining me for a weekly check-in. I hope that you're enjoying these. As always, please take care, stay safe, and make good choices. Bye.